Well, tensions in the region are playing into the upcoming elections in South Korea. The country goes to the polls next Tuesday to choose a replacement for impeached President Park Geun-hye. Robert Kelly is a professor of political science at Pusan National University, and you can read his career analysis for the Lowy Institute's digital magazine, The Interpreter. He joins us live from Busan this evening. Robert, great to have you on the program again. Just briefly, on that issue of THAAD, how much of a big deal is it in the election race, and how much notice are everyday South Koreans taking of this fracas that is going on?
Yeah, it's become a bigger issue, in part because Donald Trump recently said that South Korea should pay for it, which changes the original deal on THAAD's deployment. THAAD's pretty controversial in Korea, and last year, as a part of the deal to get it here, the Americans agreed to pay for it. Donald Trump has sort of emphasized the idea of allied free riding and so on. And so suddenly he just sort of threw this out there. That has brought THAAD back to life in a big way in the presidential campaign. And the Liberal is likely going to win. And one of the issues he has used recently has been THAAD. It remains controversial, as you mentioned, to the farmers and the Buddhists. Today's Buddha's birthday, right, to sort of complain and worry that it sort of brings militarization to the middle of Korea, that it brings environmental damage and so on. So it's pretty hot. It's pretty hot. It's a big issue right now in the debate.
Now, you're talking about the campaign. It has been pretty tight up until now, but the one candidate is now pulling ahead, the Liberal candidate.
That's correct. For a short time, there was a centrist candidate, a guy named Ahn Cheol-soo, who was sort of running neck and neck with the Liberal Moon Jae-in. In the interim, Ahn's conservative support has drifted away. He had several bad debate performances. Moon ran for president 5 years ago and got, I think, 48% of the vote. So he has a sort of solid 35 to 40%, and they've stuck with him as the opponents have all sort of flailed around him, and he should win.
How damaging has Park Geun-hye's impeachment been, and her tenure been, to the conservative side of politics in South Korea?
I would say it's been near catastrophic. The Conservative Party in Korea factionalized over this. There's a splinter party. They're running their own presidential candidate against the main Conservative Party. Two of them right now are polling at less than 20%. As the centrist party has collapsed, some of those conservative voters have gone home, so perhaps the conservative candidate will get 20%. But he's pretty desperate. He's now calling himself the Donald Trump of Korea in a bid to sort of get some kind of traction. Donald Trump is very unpopular here, so you can tell the desperation. Yeah, it's a real road back for the South Korean right after this. I think they're going to get hit very hard next Tuesday.
Talking of Donald Trump, of course, South Korea does need a strong relationship with the US, given the tensions around the Korean peninsula. How might that play out with Moon?
Yeah, I'm actually very concerned about that. Just in strict character terms, Moon and Trump are very, very different people. Moon is sort of a fairly traditional, professorial, sort of wonky political type. Donald Trump, of course, is Donald Trump with all of his flamboyance, and I find it hard to imagine the two of them in a room being able to communicate. I do think the American U.S.-South Korean alliance is actually pretty deep. There's a lot of sort of bureaucratic weight behind it. I don't think that will be impacted too much by a split at the very top. But, we've had this kind of thing before under the Bush administration, and there was a liberal administration in Korea at the time, and they had a lot of trouble agreeing on stuff, too. And that's what I'm really worried about. Trump will say something outrageous and, kick up a real fracas.
And, of course, this is the first past the post system, so the result will be decided on next Tuesday.
Yes, that's correct. This is not like the American or the French system. We'll know by the end of the night. It's just a straight count, whoever gets the most votes. The important part here is that Moon, though, the likely winner, will not probably break 50%. So he will be a minoritarian president, and I think that will put constraints on him when he gets elected. He'll probably only get about 42% of the vote, perhaps.
Robert, really good to get your analysis on this. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for having me.